Hi, I'm Mr. D, and I've been a public school educator for 21 years. For 20 of those years, I've taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade chorus and music. Now, when I tell people who I'm meeting for the first time that this is what I do for a living, they usually pause and they look at me and they go, now, isn't that when they start giving you attitude? Isn't that when they can be, difficult? And I'll say, absolutely. And then they'll say something like, God bless you, or something, and I'll say, well, I really do like teaching this age group. But, I didn't always feel that way. When I first started teaching, I kind of fell into it. I wanted to be a singer and a dancer, but I just kind of started teaching because I felt some pressure from my family. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I got a job teaching, my first job, and I actually replaced a lady with whom my student taught. Now, my student teaching experience was phenomenal. She was an awesome lady, very good teacher, and I learned a lot from her. But the days that I learned the most were 3 days that happened in the middle of my student teaching. She became sick, and she had to stay home for 3 days. She had pneumonia. And she called and said, you're responsible today. Now, obviously, I was young, and I was not an official teacher in that state, so they had a sub in the room, but the sub just sat in the corner. Now, those 3 days were the hardest 3 days of my working career ever up to that moment, and they were probably the hardest 3 days of my life, really, and up to that moment, because those kids didn't listen, they gave me attitude, they didn't sing, and I couldn't believe it, because these were the same children who I had taught a number of times with the teacher in the room, and they were perfect. So I thought, what's happened? I didn't get it. Now, that gave me a little preview of what it was going to be like when I had my own classroom, but I had no idea. And when I started teaching in the school a few years later, the teacher had moved on and she became a principal. I was young, and my approach was so authoritarian and sort of mean, and I think the kids didn't think I cared about them, and maybe I didn't actually. I was young and very immature for my age. I was 24 going on 17, I would say, just from a personal level. So I really did not handle the kids well at all. I had so many days of utter chaos. Now, one of the days that woke me up, it's a little graphic, the story I'm going to share with you, but it truly was one of the many moments that helped me more than it hurt me. When I had this girl that I had been butting heads with. She was the girl I butted heads with the most. She was a ringleader. She liked me the least, and we just went at it all the time. Now, one day in the hall, she got into a fight, and there were several teachers around. I ended up helping the fight end, and I wrote the fight up, and she was suspended. She came back to school on a Friday. She was in my class. She was beautifully put together. She was quiet. It was not normal. On the following Monday, I come to school, I walk down the hall, and as I approach my room, I have to turn left to get to it, but before I turn left, I smell a horrible smell, and I have no idea what this is, but I turn left. Now, my room is the only room on this hallway. No other teacher goes there, no other students go down this hall. When I turn to look down where my entry to my door is, I see a pile of poop. And I'm shocked. I couldn't speak. And I thought at first, well, maybe someone brought their dog in this weekend and the dog pooped. That was my initial reaction. And then I looked at it, and I'm not going to go into detail, but it became very clear that it was human poop. And we learned later through video cameras and such which child this was, and the child was punished. But it was a horrifically overwhelming moment of awakening for me, because what an act of hate. This child had to decide to plan this out, come down the hall, take care of this action, and then leave it, and know that I'm going to find it, for sure. I couldn't believe it, and I still can't believe it. When I describe it, it seems utterly unbelievable, but it was the truth. It really happened, and I was just astounded by it. But I knew in that moment that I had to figure this out. I had to learn a way to relate to children that was more effective. Of course, I wasn't very good at teaching methods at that time, and the students, some of the behavior issues I experienced were because I wasn't able to relate to the kids in a way that they could understand the material I was teaching. So that was very important, and that's a key component of some of the things I want to discuss in this blog. But secondly, I had the attitude that so many teachers have, and that is that you should respect me because I am an adult. And in that moment of turning that corner and looking down at that site, I knew that that was not the philosophy that was going to make me a better teacher. I soon put it all together. It took me some time to process. But my philosophy now is that the respect circle, and it is a circle, begins with me. If those children know that I respect them and know that I care about them, then they will also respond in kind. And it's my job as the adult to create that kind of atmosphere. And I've seen so many teachers who've taught for 30 years or more who never understand that. And I'm talking teaching middle school for that long. And I can't imagine dealing with 30 years of what I dealt with in those first few years. But some teachers do it, and I'm not really sure, quite frankly, that they are serving the children, obviously, if they're creating this kind of animosity. Middle school children are special, and they need something that is not easy to give, but we have to figure out in our own way, with our own personality, how to give them what they need so that we can serve them. So I'm hoping in this blog that I can share some of those ideas and support some people who are maybe transitioning to middle school teaching for the first time in their careers, maybe some new teachers, or maybe some teachers who've been doing it for a long time and are just looking for a new way, a new approach. I'm going to share my philosophies. I've already shared one today. I'm going to share incidences from this school year that's coming up that maybe teach me in this present moment, incidences from the past, experiences I've had, that hopefully will support people. My blog is in the middle with Mr. D at Blogspot, and I also have a Facebook, In the Middle with Mr. D at Facebook. Currently, I teach over 300 children, and I have a couple of classes with over 80 children, and that's a normal thing for me. And these are middle school kids. And I manage them alone. In our state, we can do that. We can have up to, I think, 85 or even more in one classroom without a support teacher. Right or wrong, it's what it is. And I have had to learn over the years to do that. Now, in the beginning of my career, I could never have had that situation. But now, because I have figured out some ways to bring out the best in middle school kids, I can do that, and I'm really grateful that I'm able to do it. It's not always easy, but I am able to manage large groups of kids, and not that you even have to do that. I just want to help you manage what you have in your classroom to the best of your ability. So I'm hoping that we can have some interchanges over the coming months, and that you will let me know what's happening in your room, and I can share and help you in whatever way possible on the blog and maybe on the Facebook as well. And I also, for those of you who are music teachers, have a sight singing method out there that I'm going to be putting onto the Teacher Pay Teachers website this year under Music in the Middle with Mr. D. So I'm looking forward to hearing from some of you and meeting you. Good luck. I hope you have a wonderful school year, and thanks for your time.